Hey guys, how's it all going? Oh, we've got a couple of you in here already. That's cool. Josh Homan, welcome along. Grant's Junk, good to hear from you, bud. Sixth Street Garage. Oh, so what's been happening, guys? What's been going on out there in your corner of the world? Hope you all been working on your cars and driving them. Rick Ferris, how you doing, man? Glad to have you along. And where's misplaced my bourbon. I can't have that. Hey, check what some kind person got me for a bourbon glass. What's Honda to be? Hey, Kiwi, the Chevy 150 is sweet. Yeah, it's a nice old car. It's a nice old car. Long Island Mopars. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to have you in. Unfinished project. Good to have you in too. So, Rex Ferris. Unfortunately, by the time of the live stream, the 57 was already sold to someone else. They just left the posting up. Not sure what you mean there, bud. Not sure what you're referring to there. You mean the 57 Chevy? That's confusing. Long Island Mopars. Yes, you need a glass like this one. See? Just so everyone knows what you're doing. Oh, Rex. Okay, I get you. Okay. Rex Ferris, 57 Plymouth. Yeah, I think we did talk about that. Yeah, I kind of remember that. Oh, so that fell through that deal. Okay. That's a shame. That was sounding like that had potential. No, well, hey, where there's one, there's another, man. Where there's one, there's another. Dr. Art's in the house. How you doing, man? It's ham sandwich night. There you go. Mate, I had meatloaf. Mrs. Kiwi made some absolutely delicious meatloaf. It was awesome. So and now I'm just washing it down. Long Island Mopars, like my life, Kiwi on the bleeping rocks. Oh no, that's no good, buddy. Steve Sadusky, hey, how's it going? And there's Kev too. He's over that shoulder. This mirror image screen looking at myself is always confusing. But hey. Yeah, kicked him out of bed. He was sleeping another bender off. So, dragged his sorry ass along. Unfinished project, Long Island. I'm substituting a couple of keystones until I get home from work. Now, fair enough. Sixth Street Garage. Is that a Porsche back there? Yes, it is. It is a Porsche. It's part of my somewhat eclectic collection. But yeah, Porsche full-on race car. I think it's a 911 SS, 911. What is it now? Sorry, 911 GT1. So it's an older car for sure, but it's pretty cool. I really particularly like the livery on it. So yeah, pretty cool. So, yeah, got this serious hood scoop going on, hood roof scoop, I should say. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. So what else have we got happening? So Rex Ferris, what's on your shopping list? Seeing as that one fell through, what are you going looking for? What's on the wish list for finding a particular car? Now, what do we got? Todd Denio, late but got here. Hello from Minnesota. Oh, welcome along, man. Welcome along. Okay, guys, ask your questions, man. Like, what's happening? What are you need help with? What do you need to know? What would you like to know? I'm not going to tell you everything, but I'll do what I can. Oh, greetings from the Ozarks. That's cool. Double back again. That was a great series too. That TV series was really good. Yeah, the Ozarks. I do wonder if it's really like that up there, but it's hard to say with TV. Rex Ferris. Well, there are some chances at a different one. Ironically, a '59 Suburban. Hey, that's cool. There's more around than you'd think. It's such a big place, though. I know there's one. Where are you based, Rex? Because I know there's one been for sale for a long time up in Washington, up towards Washington, Washington State. And I'd love to have it, but it's just so far away, and it doesn't run, and it's sitting in a field, and But it's got the third row seating and a few other little neat bits on it that would be nice to have. Cordell B, was there a cryptic message in your video thumbnail? No, not a cryptic message. I was just quickly looking for a picture to put up there, and that's a really nice green, which Mrs. Kiwi has chosen for her little project, her little hot rod that I'm going to start building soon. That's that little Sunbeam Alpine. So that's the colour she wants it to be painted. So interesting on your guys' thoughts on that green. It's a cool colour. I think it's kind of like to me, it's like a modern British racing green, which fits with the little British sports car, What else have we got? Old timer, hi again, Kiwi. Hey, good to have you along, buddy. No, okay. Rex Ferris near Abilene, Texas. Okay. Oh, tell us more about the 59. Does it go? Is it a basket case? What is it? Steve Sadusky, how's the frame coming along on the Swiss Trees project? Great video, by the way. Actually, I did a little bit more on that today. I've been lowering the seat bases and moving them back because the owner of that particular car is like 6'5", and he's one of those. He's got his long arms and legs as well as being 6'5". He needed a bit more room, a bit more headroom. So we chopped up the seat bases and moved those back, and just started putting all the the core support on. But the chassis itself is all in and burned in, ready to go, kind of thing. We've been putting the front suspension on today, and say core support and the inner fenders are that'll be something to attack tomorrow. So I'll rattle up a video about what I'm doing there, which will be out before long. Granddad's junk. My wife is looking for an external sun visor for a 54 custom line. If anyone has one lying around and is happy to ship to New Zealand, that'll be a bit brutal on shipping, just because it's bulky, not that heavy. But eBay is a good place to look for that stuff, man. Old time, I love that emerald green. Thanks, man. Todd Deneo, vintage tin are all over, but a lot of them are beyond being savable. Yeah, that's true. Roy Miller, hi Kiwi, glad to have you along, mate. Unfinished project. I have a lot of projects. Yeah, I know the feeling. We just added one more, a 66 Valiant 100 two-door post. 66 Valiant two-door post. That was. Is that a? Where's that? Is that? Are you an Aussie, buddy? Or is that? That must be an American car. But you have to have a state inspection. Okay. Tell us more about that. Old timer, what about the altered engine 427 Mustang Fastback? That's got to come. We got to get back on that one as well. The last video I did on that one, we put all the rear suspension in. But now I've got to pull the engine and transmission out again and finish the transmission tunnel. Most of it's done. Just I've got to do it around the bell housing area is to be completed. Then we can get a bit of paint in the engine bay and start putting that thing together. Rex Ferris. Unfortunately, it's a harder one, and while it seems savable, it would definitely be a challenge. Send me some pictures of it, bud. Not like to my email. Let me see if I can put my email in here for you guys. Always happy to get an email from you. There you go. Send me some pictures, bud. I'm always interested to look at a 59 Suburban. Kind of can't help myself there. Stray Bullet. Hey, man, welcome along. Unfinished project. Okay. Yep, definitely American. All right. Rex Ferris. For the moment, I need to do some more changes to the 50 fastback as some of the electrics went out. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, that's a good way to plan it. Long Island Mopars. We have state inspections in New York. $10 safety only, no emissions. Basically, if it drives under its own power, it gets a sticker. It's not much of a safety inspection, is it? God, I mean, it'd be tough if they failed you on rust up there, wouldn't it? Fitzgeralding, enjoyed the video on Winona's 57 today. Yeah, that's a cool car, and yeah, it's kind of interesting having it back after. Like, I look back on my invoicing, and yeah, it's 10 years since I worked on that car, which kind of makes me feel a bit old. But hey, but yeah, it just doesn't get driven enough, and which is a shame because it's a nice driving car. Like, I wasn't expecting a lot, from a 57 Chevy, but that actually drove pretty darn nice. It was quite tight, it wasn't all rattly and windy, and it was actually quite a pleasant car to drive. Honestly, I think it helps that it's got a really quiet exhaust. It just, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm getting old and soft because I'm kind of going away from the loud exhaust. I quite appreciate a quiet car. So, yeah, maybe just getting old and soft. Unfinished project, East Coast Blue State. Okay, crazy inspection hoops to jump through. Oh, that's no good. Unfinished project. They upped our prices over $200 for my W350. Is that for an inspection? Wow. Tim Miller, spray red oxide paint under my 70 Mustang. What mess up? Not enough Gardner will respray with more tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, well, they had red oxide under them from the factory, so it kind of looks correct when you do hit it with that underneath. Rex Ferris, that and the upholstery make the 59 a bit less possible. There's a lot of upholstery in that car. That's something I've got to do because the upholstery is just toasted, being a California car. Double back again. Kiwi, do you have a preferred aftermarket AC? Yeah, vintage year. Most of them. Vintage year. I just keep coming back to, and honestly, there's cold air, and they're pretty good. I put them at a close second, but vintage year, just the way it fit, the fit and finish of the kit is just a little more polished. The electronics, the controls, the hot cold, that kind of stuff. It's just a little nicer, in my opinion, and typically a little bit easier to install. But really not much in it. I don't know the difference in prices. I just go straight to vintage year. I don't don't shop around. Which is, when you're not paying, it doesn't kind of, like people say, what sort of air should I put in? I tell them, vintage air, we'll get that. So, Barracuda, the Valiant 100 is like an Aussie VC Valiant. Okay. I knew of a VC that was converted to two-door in Dunedin in the 90s. Huh. That'd be different. Long Island Mopars had a 79 Volare with a rotted K-member. You'd be amazed what tin and roofing tar does to hide what lurked beneath. Oh dear. No. Tim Miller, Gardner in mix 2-1, not 4-1. Okay. Josh H. I saw Patrication as doing some Kiwi level work on that garbage Camaro. Yeah, well, I've been helping him a little bit with that, and like he, we talk quite a bit on the phone as well, and he's, kind of try and help him along, with any questions he's got, which it's kind of cool. Like Kevin, who's been around forever, he'll ring me when he's stuck on something, and that's. I'll be honest with you, that's kind of cool because. I first came across Kevin on TV, and then eventually got to work with him at RTM Productions for a little bit. And, that's where we became friends. And I realized he was just the same guy in real life that you see on TV or on YouTube. He's just the same guy, and we get along great. And, to be able to help him out and answer some of his questions when he's stumped is it's kind of almost surreal because I was a bit of a fan of his before I even met him. So, Tim Miller Hardner, right? Yeah, 4-1 with that, four part or 2-1 product in Hardner. James Martin, about the 57, did the 150 use a different dash than a Bel Air or Impala? Was thinking the speedo was rounder at the top, like in my 59 Bel Air. Mate, I'm not sure. The GM stuff is not, I'm not as well up on it as I am the Fords. And getting into that detail of the dash, I do not know. I'm sorry. I just don't know. Doesn't look like it's been altered in any way. Not that I was checking for that, but it didn't jump out like it's had a different dash put in it. But yeah, you might be right. Maybe that was part of the different, the lower trim of the 150 was maybe a little bit different, gauge cluster. I'm not sure. Andy Nickel, how you doing, man? Good to have you in the house. Who we got? Double back again. Would you tackle a vintage? Would you tackle a vintage Clardy AC or run away? Most underdash, I'm not familiar with Clardy unless that's a typo. But underdash AC is pretty simple compared to the built-in system, like the vintage Airs. Or vintage Air do an underdash as well, but most of what they sell is the that under/behind the dash system that's all integrated into the car. Those are a lot more work than an underdash. Underdash is pretty quick, pretty easy. Andy Nickel, love Winona's 57. Yeah, they've got a lot of positive feedback about that. And it's kind of had some mixed reviews on the fender skirts. Now, hands up, or can anyone tell me what we always used to call fender skirts in New Zealand, what the Kiwi name for those is? I'm guessing that's probably going to come from Barracuda, but he's got an unfair advantage, but that's okay. Todd DeNeo, 2 projects to finish before I die. Okay. Well, don't hurry them too much, mate. We need you around for a while. Dodge 440 4-door sedan with 70,000 miles. Nice. And my 40 Ford Tudor. Nice. Deluxe street rod. Heights Mustang. IFS. Ford 460 top loader. Early Franklin quick change. Okay. Both sound like very cool cars. What year's the 63 Dodge 440? I had a 63 Dodge 330 four-door sedan when I was in my teens. So like back in the when's that? Yeah, in the late 70s. And that was a cool car. It had the 318 Poly in it. But yeah, that was a New Zealand new car, so it was right-hand drive. And yeah, it was a cool car. Granddad's junk. Kiwi brother, the engine mounts for the 58 Savoy arrived. Very happy. Big M Auto was very helpful. John is a top bloke. I haven't dealt with him, but I've heard very good things about them. So, like numerous times, not just, a one-off lucky shot type of thing. No, he has a very good reputation. So that's cool. Glad that it worked out well for you. Tim Miller, speller helper, not my words. Oh, fair enough, mate. Mark Taylor, is that a Sunbeam, Tiger, or Alpine tucked away in your garage? Yeah, I've got one of each, but they're basket cars. It is a Sunbeam Alpine, and it is, if you saw the thumbnail for tonight's live, that's the colour that we're going to paint it once it's done. That's for my wife. So I'm supposed to be building that for her. And we're kind of going to tigerize it. And to be honest, I haven't decided whether we're going to go small block Ford or LS. The kind of all aluminum fuel injected drivability of the LS is quite appealing, just because my wife's going to be driving it and she's really not used. She's used to later model stuff now, and driving it when it's cold is going to be, I think it would just be a little bit easier and friendlier to drive, with a fuel injected LS in it. But I'm not. The jury's still out on that one. But yeah, even a basket case Sunbeam Tiger is still worth some money, bud. Where are you based, Mark? Are you stateside or other places? Rex Ferris, I was wondering if you had any advice on getting into doing paint, as that has always been one of my interests, but finding advice on how to learn is a bit difficult. Honestly, the best, he's going to be a guest on the show soon, probably not next Tuesday, but I'm kind of shooting for the Tuesday after, is Kevin Tates. Kevin Tates, that's T-Z, Paintucation. He's on YouTube. He's another YouTuber. He has a whole series of videos on, educational videos on painting, how to do it, everything from the very simple basics right through to high-end paint. He has a great series of videos and great teacher, great guy. And yeah, if I can get him on the show, then like fire in with the questions. Like he's always, he's a very affable guy, and he'll answer as many questions as he can. But that's a great way to learn. He's a great teacher, and his videos are very well put together and easy to follow and understand. Unfinished project. I have a couple of community posts on my channel of hauling the Valiant home. Okay. I'll post some content on it when we get started on it. Okay, cool. Great. Good to see it. Barry Cooter, good granddad's junk. Were you serious about the flathead being injected and turbocharged? Yeah, I made a comment about that. I don't think he was, but who knows? Todd Denio. Yeah, the Impala wasn't made in 57. No, you're right, it wasn't. It was 58. It was the first Impala. I think he was meaning maybe it was an Impala Dash from a later year, possibly. I'm not too, maybe. Granddad's junk. The flathead has already been done. It's a rebuilt engine with injection and turbos already on it. Seriously? Granddad's junk. You got to send me some pictures of that. Like, I want to see that. Has it seriously got 4 turbos on it? I thought you were just being like a little crazy on it. But yeah. Maybe that's a thing. So send me some pictures, man. Double back again. Clardy equals popular dealer installed AC in the late 60s, early 70s, built in Texas. Huh. I have not heard of it. Yeah, I wouldn't run away from it. I say if it's under dash, it's relatively the physical side of the installation is going to be pretty straightforward. You just got to basically hang it under the dash. Getting it to work with today's gases is going to be, and will pose some different challenges. What compressor to use, that kind of thing. John Giddens, spats. You are correct, sir. That's what we used to call them. What's on to be spats with a question mark? Yeah, I don't know where that name came from. I think it was something to do with like the gangsters on TV movies would like wear spats, those little covers over their shoes, and I think it got that name from that, because the fender skirts were a little covering over the wheels, kind of like shoes, I think that's where it came from, but that's a theory, not a fact. Kiwi, my 63 Dodge 440 has the 318 poly and a push button order. Yeah, exactly like mine, but just mine was a lower spec, being a 330. The 440 had a few more bells and whistles, I believe. Tim Miller, Holly injection on a 289 would do it on the car. Yeah, the Holly Terminator would be an option. Yep. And I may still go down that route. It kind of fits the car better, being that the whole Sunbeam Tiger thing. It does work better. And I've got one or two small block Fords sitting around. I want to go for about 400 horse, so it would probably need to be like a 331 stroker. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't go for the cheap Holly injection. It'd be the Holly Terminator. So yeah. John Kelly finally got here. How are you today, mate? I'm good. I'm doing well. I got my bourbon. Kev's over my shoulder there. So yeah, life is good. Todd Deneo, a few months ago, there was a Sunbeam Alpine for sale 2 hours from here. No rust, no dents, clear title for $1,800. That is cheap. Yep, that is cheap. I paid a little bit less for my one, but it had a clear title and probably no dents. But that's where the similarity ends, because there is a lot of rust in it. There's really no flaw in it. I took the driver's seat out by simply pulling on it and lifting. Yeah, and the driver's seat came out without undoing a thing. That gives you a little bit of an idea. Yeah. So, but yeah, like this, that was a couple of hours away from me. So a lot of it can be what you can get that's reasonably nearby, because you can spend a lot of money shipping cars too. And I wanted the earlier one. The one I've got, the one for the wife is a 61. So it's the Series 2, I think it is. Series 1 or 2, but 1961. So it's got the bigger fins on the back that are raked back more. So the tail lights are kind of on about a 30-degree angle. And then as they progressed more into the mid-60s, they reduced the fins and put the tail lights upright. And I don't know, that just got a little. I like the fins on them, but I mean, I like 59 Cadillac, so Todd Kiwi, my name is pronounced Denio. Denio. Okay, cool. I'll try and remember. Denio. Right. Now what have we got? I dislike spats ever since seeing Dad's friends EJ Holden with them way back in the 70s. Yeah, some cars they look good on, and some they just don't. That little blue 63 Falcon I've got, the convertible, that came with a set of spats, and I've never had them on it. I don't know. It doesn't work on them. And some cars really do look great, but um, yeah. But I think if they were fender skirts or spats that were designed by the factory and are part of the body shape rather than just an add-on, that's when it works, in my opinion. Like I had a '66 Buick Electra that had them, and when you took them off to change the wheel, it looked weird. It looked odd, and then you put them back on, and it looked correct again. So, Granddad's junk. It has 4 Porsche turbos. Yes, I will send some to you. It's got so much plumbing you can't see the engine. Stray bullet, 4 turbos. Are you building a bomb? Good grief. 4 turbos on a flathead. Wow. What do we got there? Tim Miller, is Tigers yours with 400 ponies? Be handful to drive, or wife like power? Oh, she's likes power. Yes, she drives way faster than I do. Like around the streets, she's a little speed demon. Yeah, she likes to use all the power she's got. She's a little rev head. So yeah, like like a stock. If I gave her one of those with a stock 289, 220 horse or something, she'd be like, "This is a bit dull." So like, okay, careful what you wish for. I am a little weary of it with 400 horse of it being a little crazy to drive. So that's another thing with injection. You can soften them up, so they don't hit quite as hard. I would hate, for it to break into wheel spin. It's kind of like 50 trying to get past someone on the interstate, because they can get away from you pretty quick. And she's actually a pretty good little driver, but that's still a lot in a short wheelbase car. So we'll see if it's too like my Mustang, that's got more horsepower again. And if you're quick on the gas pedal, it just lights the tires. And if you're not ready for it, it'll be like it could be a bit scary. What's on it to be Gittins? I think the distributor in the back prevents that. Not sure what you're talking about there. You're having a chat between yourselves. Good on you guys. Mark Taylor, the Sunbeams are located in Massachusetts, not far from High Octane Classics in Auburn. They're both available. Interested? Hey, no. I mean, I'd have to say no. I've got the 61, which is the car that is going to be built, and then I've got another parts car, which is like a 65, to rob some stuff on if we need it, which I just picked up for pennies. So really, the Tiger, it's a little tempting, but I wouldn't want it as a parts car. And man, I'd like to build it, but I just don't have time. Holy Car Mods just joined in. Well, welcome along. Todd Denio, John Giddens, any engine can be put in any car. It depends how much work and modifications you're willing to do. Exactly right. Fitzgerald Kiwi sent you an email with a short video of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Well, I'll have to have a look at that, bub. Yeah. Are you kind of recovered, getting fairly well recovered from that now? Hopefully you are. Barracuda, in my experience, 1 turbo could be considered enough. Yeah. 2 turbos is nice. 4 sounds like a headache. I'll be honest with you. But, I mean, if you can pull it off and you have the skills, more power to you, man. Like literally and figuratively. John Kelly, you're talking about under dash ear. I rather like the period correct under dash ear. What do you think? Depends on the car. It really does depend on the car. Certain vehicles, yeah, I agree with you, and it is a period correct thing. The old yellow Falcon that I've got, it's got the Ford badged, dealer installed under dash AC on it. It looks great, works great, and it's crossed my mind to actually pirate that out of that car and put it into the blue convertible, the little blue convertible I've got, because it's period correct and because it's Ford badged. And I know it's just a badge. But it's better than having GM on it, So yeah, I may well pirate it off that car if I kind of send it on down the road. I might just hijack that and put that in the little blue Falcon convertible. Now, double back again. Will wifey insist on 3 pedals or 2? She likes a stick shift. Yeah, she would rather have 3 pedals. So, yeah, it's short answer, yeah. Granddad's joke, these Porsche turbos are small. Okay, well, that should give you some, not so much lag. They should spool up pretty quick. D-Rick Deberjack. Kevin, yep, there he is. There he is. Blue Hill Cemetery. Did the Tigers have small block Ford engines? Yes, they originally came out with 260s, the little brother from the 289. So yeah, small block. You can't tell the difference between a 260 and a 289. They're the same engine essentially. So yeah, that's what they came out. Carroll Shelby actually did the installs. He did the original ones for Sunbeam. They sent him, I think it was 6 cars, to kind of do the experiment to see if it was a doable thing. And he shoehorned the small block, and it really is shoehorned. There's a small engine bay, and he shoehorned the small block Ford into there with the 4-speed top loader, and yeah. So, and then unfortunately for Carroll Shelby, Sunbeam decided to proceed and mass produce, shall we say, the Sunbeam Tiger, but they gave the contract to Jensen in England after Carroll had done all the groundwork. So you win some, you lose some. I guess he went on to do the AC Cobra, which is a far more famous car than the Sunbeam Tiger will ever be. Todd, I like the original under dash units as well. Yeah. Granddad's junk, the car came with it all done. Just needs a few small jobs to finish it. Cool. That was kind of certainly outside the box thinking to do all that. Fitzgeralding, I built a turbocharged small block Camaro back in the 70s. It was a fun beast. I bet it was. I think we talked about that when you came for a visit. Barry Kuda, Kiwi, have you had anything to do with the Paxton supercharger? Like was an option on Mustangs? Yeah, a little bit. I worked on a Camaro a guy had, like a 68 Camaro, I think it was, that had that, wasn't a Paxton supercharger, but it was that same, trying to remember the name of the brand of it, ProCharger, which is very similar to the Paxton, kind of an evolution of it really. But yeah, pretty effective. They can, some certain vehicles they're easier to fit them to than others, because of their location where they physically, the real estate they take up where they go. But the belt drive is quite good. the supercharger can slip a little bit on the belt, which is helps them a little bit because they drive so much. They're like usually like 6-1 faster than the engine speed. So that deceleration and quick acceleration can be quite stressful on the insides of of the actual supercharger compared to the like the more the ones that are sitting in the V of the engine, like the more conventional superchargers. They don't spin anywhere near as fast, but I mean the Paxton's basically half a turbo in effect. So the RPMs have got to be well up there. Caudal B, how do you approach realistic car values? Is there an accurate resource somewhere, or what should be expected? Yeah, it's hard with classics. It really is. It's very hard to value them. All you can kind of do is look around and try and find something comparable, but so often there's really nothing comparable because everyone's tweaked them and changed them and done this and done that, and to suit what they want. And if you happen to like it as well, then it's really about how much do you like it and what are you prepared to pay for it. Because some people will look at that car that you think is just awesome and go, oh, I wouldn't buy that car. But yeah, probably places like Bring a Trailer can give you a pretty decent idea. If you go back through the history on, see what they've sold and see what it sold, how much it sold for. eBay is a little bit out there, is because there's some crazy prices on there, and people see a price on a car, but it doesn't mean it's sold. I mean, you can go through eBay and search and look for sold vehicles, and that can give you an idea of what they're going for. But there's nothing, to my knowledge, there's nothing like a Kelly Blue Book type of thing for older cars. Tim Miller, blast Sunbeam and put it on wall and squeezing it in. If you're welding, if one spot and in time, we have many parts ready to get done. Okay. Yeah. I'm doing a lot of work to the Sunbeam. Like, when I finally get stuck into it, we're going to widen it 4 inches, and we're going to lengthen it 4 inches. So to give us a bit more room in the engine bay, we're going to actually cut the whole nose off and move it forward 4 inches, and we're going to slice the sides off and put another 2 inches in each side of it to make it a little bit less of a tiny toy car. Craig Nearing, greetings, Kiwi and friends. Greetings, good to have you along. Fish Geraldine, yes, got all but my roof repaired, waiting on an estimate. Yeah, I don't imagine there's a lot of you waiting for estimates on roofs. 65 Ford Anglia had optional heat. Very much an afterthought. Did anyone ever turbo those 997cc pre-crossflow engines? Yeah. I don't know. Not the little 1 litre. I do remember seeing a 1600. I think it was either a 1300 or a 1600 crossflow turboed one. God, so long ago. But such a long time ago. John Kelly, dealer installed air in the 80s was Select Air for a Ford. Yep. And it's got a little. This one I'm on the yellow Falcon I've got. It's got a little Ford badge on it. But I'm sure it's a Select Air unit just with the Ford badging. Don't care to. Hey Kiwi, should put a supercharger on old Marge. yeah. It would be kind of fun to put a 671 and have it sticking a foot up through the hood. That would be kind of a bit crazy, but fun. Probably not. But yeah, it would be. I get it. It's not a terrible idea, but I'm just not sure that I could bring myself to do that. Um, Barry Cooter, the Paxton superchargers were made by Studebaker. I didn't know that. I thought Paxton was its own standalone company. And I know some of the Studebakers had Paxton superchargers on them. Huh. I didn't realise it was owned by Studebaker. That's interesting. Mark Taylor, the first Sunbeam I remember seeing was on the TV show Get Smart. Yep. He would always pull up outside headquarters, HQ, at the beginning of every show. They also used him on one of the, I think it was the second ever James Bond movie, or first or second. Yeah, he was driving a Sunbeam Alpine. Granddad's junk, the dual quad manifold could be modified to fit a supercharger on the Poly. Yeah, you're right, it could. It could. Oh dear. You guys are spending my time and my money. It would be nice to have a bit more power in Marge, I must say. I'm probably just going to run dual quads and go with the 390 stroker crank on it. Is more than likely what's going to happen with that. I don't want it to be. I don't always want it to be faster, but I don't need it to be super fast. I just need it to be healthy, shall we say? I've got a stupid fast car with the '66 Mustang, and yeah, I just want Marge to be just a quiet, cool cruiser that, if you're on the interstate and you want to pass somebody, you can, and you can do it, in a fairly timely manner, shall we say? Yeah. Dickie Farley, hey bud, glad to have you along. Fleetwood as well. Todd Denio, to the guy who was looking for exterior sun visor, make one yourself from parts of an early 50s car roof. I've made them before. It's easy. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could do. That would certainly give it some shape, some contour. Tim Miller, my race car hiding Super Tigers. Super Tigers, that's a tyre, isn't it? Long Island Mopars, keep Marge stock, please. Wagons are cool. Yeah, I know. I get lots of suggestions on Marge, and people, want it to go one way and go the other, and yeah, wagons are cool. They have a cool factor all of their own. And like I said, I just want it to be kind of keep up with today's modern traffic. Honestly, I don't want it to be super fast, but just keep up. When you're doing 70, I want to be able to squirt up to 90, like fairly quickly, and not have to wind it up. And I think I can do that. Like by stroking it out to 390 or 390, whatever they end up at. And a couple of 4 barrels on it, and some headers maybe, and I think it'll be, it should be able to get, 400 horse out of it, I would think, without too much, crazy expense, and that'd be just nice. 400 horse would be nice. I mean, she's heavy, so it's not going to be a rocket ship with 400, but that's okay. It's not what I'm trying to do. Mike Batista, large Marge. That's right. She's a cruiser. John Kelly, dreams for Marge, fun but silly. There you go. Tim Miller got Mustangs and got 76 MGB upgrades. Okay. I had a 67 MGB when I was a teenager. That was a fun little car, a little soft top. Todd Tenio, I'm sorry. I tend to talk too much, but try me out. That's what it's all about, right? It's all good. It's all good. All right, what else is going on? Todd Denier, Granddad's junk is also a lot cheaper. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with shipping to New Zealand is so expensive, it's so high. And something as bulky as that would just be, really not sure what it would be, but it'd be a lot. And there's enough, there'd be a roof off something in New Zealand that you'd be able to cut up, do something like that with it. Granddad's junk. In fact, wife has a parts car 53 custom line. We could cut a piece off it. Oh, there you go. Problem solved. Just as simple as that, right? Redneck 5356. Who do you send your gas tanks to for cleaning or rebuilding? Typically, we replace them. 9 times out of 10, I haven't. I've had to, like the gas tank on Marge, I had to repair myself. I cleaned it, just cleaned it myself, and actually used paint stripper. There was so much tar in the bottom of it, like nothing would touch it. And I ended up pouring like half a gallon of paint stripper into it and sealing it up and leaving it. And that eventually ate through the tar. What had once been fuel, it turned back into tar, ate through that and got it pretty clean. And of course, then it started leaking, because it blew off the little rust scales and stuff like that. And we ended up with, I think there was about 8 or 9 pinholes in the bottom of it, where the water at the lowest point of the tank, the very lowest point where the water had been, any condensation, the water goes to the bottom, and had corroded the bottom of the tank. So just cut a little section out and welded it up after thoroughly making sure there's no fumes left in the tank. That is really important. Don't care too. Okay, maybe a small blower with fuel injection. Yeah, fuel injection's not out of the question. I don't know. Could always get together with Dr. Art and see if he wants to, mess around with a couple of turbos for it. If I was going to put turbos on Marge, I'd put 2 on for sure, 1 each side. Which it could be a way of getting some good horsepower out of it. Just modest amount of boost, just 4 or 5 pounds, and that would wake it up. Now, what do we got? John Giddens, are you going to do the upholstery on Marge like Scott did on Cold War Motors with the 60 Plymouth Fury? Yes, I definitely want to do the upholstery on Marge. I haven't seen. Okay, I need to go and check out that video, that Cold War Motors on his Fury. See what he did. Did he make his own, or did he buy like an upholstery kit, or? It's possibly a bit more available for a 60 Plymouth Fury than there is for a Suburban. And I know you can buy carpets and stuff like that, and you can probably get front seat covers, but everything else that's wagon peculiar is going to be, a lot more challenging. Barracuda. When I was a kid, I was going to get a Triumph Spitfire when I grew up, but I didn't. Yeah, probably a good plan. I was never a fan of those Spitfires, really. They're just a Triumph Herald kind of coupe. Josh Homan probably dodged a bullet. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Granddad's junk. You guys know I'm being poisoned by my wife. I'm a Mopar fan. And she's a Ford fan? Well, there you go. See, she's a smart lady. Smart lady. Beer Roast Garage. Hey, welcome along, bud. Good to see you in here as well. What's happening up in your neck of the woods, man? You still got all sorts of crazy projects going on up there? It's always interesting seeing what you show up with on YouTube. Fitzgeralding. I saw a one-of-one Packard Studebaker Hawk convertible at a Packard museum in Ohio. Supercharged 289. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, there was a guy that he's passed away just 6 months ago, but he had a 57 Studebaker Golden Hawk, and that had the 289 supercharged engine in it. I don't know what's become of that car. He was an old guy that had a ton of old cars and a absolute ton of parts, all sorts of far out stuff. And we've kind of all been waiting for the auction signs to come up, but nothing's happened. I don't know what's happened to all this stuff, but that's going to be a heck of a collection when that goes up for sale. Dickie Farley, to me, by the time you spend all the money on chemicals trying to get a really rusty tank clean or seal it, you could have bought a new one and saved all the work and be better off. I couldn't agree more, Dickie. The trick is some tanks you just can't get. You just cannot get. And that's when it gets a little trickier. But yeah, cleaning I mean, even if it's a $500 tank, by the time you open them up, clean it, seal it, do all that stuff, just get a new one. You'll spend a lot of time and money trying to clean a tank if you can buy it. And if you're lucky, it's like a Chevy or a Mustang one, and it's a couple $100 and you're done. Long Island Mopars. Friend of mine built a motorhome 440 and stuffed it into a 70 Roadrunner convertible. Nice. The pistons sit above the deck, so its compression is insane. Has two 400 CFM Carter AFBs. Not a bad setup. Nice little carburetors. That's good for twin fours. Granddad's junk. Todd, I will post it on my channel as I have a go at making one. You can laugh at me butchering it. Hey, you might get some helpful advice. You never know. I'll keep an eye out for that. Todd Denio, Kiwi should check out Cold War Motors' complete build on a 60 Fury. Yeah, I've seen a little bits and pieces of it, and but not all of it. Yeah, I need to. It sounds like I do need to go and have a closer look at that. I know from what everyone's told me, he turned a pile of rust back into a Plymouth Fury. So good on him. He's a pretty talented guy. That guy. He's very kind of understated, and he's very self-depreciating. It seems to me like he's very humble, but he's actually he's quite the talent. John Kelly, that drink looks like you're enjoying it. I am, mate. And kind of have one myself. Good for you, bud. Whether you guys all saw that, but all my rocks have melted now, which is no good at all. I'm not close to the fridge, so I can't get any more ice. Oh, well, I just have to drink it anyway. Dickie Farley from Ohio. Very good. Barry Cooter, my brother had a Triumph Herald. I remember the steering wheel being way offset in relation to the driver. Yeah, they didn't really worry about shit like that back in those days. If it had a steering wheel, and it turned left and right, well, what more do you want, really? Did the job, right? What's on to be? I was lucky to find a very good condition gas tank from a 61 Valiant being parted. It's for my 60 Valiant Hyperpack build. Hyperpack build? What's the Hyperpack build? Bero's Garage. Only reason I restored the tank in that 68 Mercury is because they wanted over $800 for a new one. Ouch. Not many parts options for a Park Lane, sadly. No, there wouldn't be. There really wouldn't be. $800. Out. Yeah, you can do quite a bit of work for that. Quite a bit of work. Todd Denio, Kiwi for cleaning out old gas tanks. You use fuel oil to break down the varnish, then empty it and fill it with vinegar overnight. Then rinse it out, seal it immediately. Yeah. Yep. That's a good idea too. Yeah, I got frustrated with it. I was putting I even put acetone in the tank, and the acetone really wasn't affected. It softened up the tar a little bit, but nothing was really touching it. Remember, it had sat for 45 years. So it had really, it was just about back to growing dinosaurs. It was that much. It was hard in the bottom of the tank. And like you could stick a long rod down through the filler neck, and you could like put dents in the about probably half 3/4 inch deep tar that was in the bottom of it, and it was tough. And the only thing that budged it was paint stripper, like aircraft paint stripper. Just like I said, put half a gallon in there and sealed it up so it didn't evaporate, and just left it. Came back a few days later, and it was just a gooey kind of runny porridge of toxic nastiness in the bottom of the tank. But it came out. You could actually then pour it out. So, yeah. Long Island Mopars, you need a double wall glass. They help prevent the ice from melting. I guess it would, yes. Or I've got the little things for making them. The big cubes of ice, like the baseball size round ice. That doesn't melt so fast. Josh Homan, $800 for a gas tank is a ripoff. Well, here's the thing, guys. It's interesting that I hear what you're saying, Josh. I really do. But if someone's got one and you need it, it's the whole supply and demand thing. That Barracuda, the TA, the 6-pack, the 340 6-pack TA that we've having the mystery issues with the cylinder head. Turns out that has a quite an unusual exhaust manifold gasket on the driver's side that doubles as a heat shield because the manifold is unique to that TA model only. That hypo 340 that they had in them. It's peculiar to that. So it's got a very rare exhaust manifold gasket. Now, keeping in mind that the passenger side doesn't have a gasket, it just runs just a gasket, like a red RTV. But the passenger side has a gasket primarily so that it creates the shield to protect the spark plug. Now, you can't buy them. Nobody reproduces them. But I found a guy who has several sets, and he's willing to come off a set. Remember, this is like a 1 of 500 car. He's willing to come off it. He wants $600 for the driver's side exhaust manifold gasket. That's not a gasket set. It's just the driver's side exhaust manifold gasket. And my customer said, we've got to have it. So get it. But he's got, a very valuable car, somewhere 160 to 200,000. And, so where's what's $600 in the scheme of things? And if he doesn't have it, it'll always look like it's missing. And it won't be that perfect restoration that car is. So, yeah, I mean, he didn't even, honestly, he barely flinched. He was like, oh, and then, yeah, but we got to have it, so get it. So, yeah, $800. But, I mean, yeah, it's a numbers game too. If they sell a lot of tanks, like I can still get a Mustang tank for like $125 because they make hundreds or thousands of them. I mean, pretty much every Mustang ever made is on its second or third fuel tank. So they've sold a lot of fuel tanks. So they're cheap. Numbers, volume, it makes it cheap. It's just how it is. Now, let's just scoot back up here a bit because I missed a couple of your questions. What have I done? Yeah, Todd Denio, if not sealed immediately, it will flash rust. Yes, it certainly will. Vilefly, imagine electrolysis would clean the inside of that tank rather well. Yeah, I didn't try electrolysis, but I'm not sure whether electrolysis would have got rid of that tar. That was unusually thick, heavy. Um, I don't know what it was. Don't have a name for what was in the bottom of that large Marge's fuel tank, but it was almost otherworldly. Um, Granddad's junk. Told I lived completely off the grid. I'm an urban hillbilly. Granddad's junk is an aped name. I'm not qualified, just a bush mechanic and panel beater. Mate, how can you be completely off the grid and then you're here, joining in on a live? That's not completely off the grid. Just saying. Vinegar is Todd Denio again. Vinegar is an excellent rust remover. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. What's on to be 170 cubic inch with a special 4-barrel intake and exhaust manifold was a dealer sold option. NASCAR Sport Compact clone build. Okay. 170 cubic inch. What brand was that? Ford, Chevy? Like what are you talking about there, bud? You may have been mentioned it earlier, but I've missed it. Bero's Vilefly, that's what I did, and used acetone to flash dry it before I sealed it with red coat. It was quite the process, but worked really good. Right. As I was saying before, acetone wouldn't even touch the stuff in the bottom of large Marge's tank. It touch it a little bit, certainly didn't dissolve it. Vilefly. Cool. Bero's Garage. For my next trick tomorrow, I'll restore a super crusty TBI unit using electrolysis. Okay. Sounds like you're a little bit of a fan of the electrolysis Vilefly. I mean, yeah, I've never actually tried it. So, Go RC. Anyone know the life expectancy of the Petronix ignition that just replaces the points? That's a good question. I'm not sure how you'd quantify that. I mean, there's nothing in it to wear out. There's no parts touching other parts. It's just like a magnetic pickup. So really, the only thing that's going to stop it is electronic failure within the unit itself. But it's going to be a long time. I've been fitting Petronix ignitions for over 10 years, and I've had one failure in all that time. And that's because that failed due to a broken wire. Actually, on the vacuum, as the vacuum advance plate was moving, it moved enough times that the wire actually broke inside the insulation. And every time it advanced, it would cut out, which made for really very very lumpy running. Because as soon as the revs came up, it would cut out and drop back to an idle, and then it would connect again, and then start revving up again. So you were just like surging down the road in a spectacular way. Barracuda. I heard the NASCAR compact racing didn't last very long because the Valiant was too dominant. Okay. Huh. So I'm guessing the 170 you're talking about was the Slant 6. Granddad's Junk. The name came about because my grandchildren love our place out here, and it's filled with all sorts of junk, but good junk. Whereabouts are you, Granddad Junk? I know you're in New Zealand, but whereabouts? I think you've told me before, but it's hard to keep all the names straight. Well, it's for me anyway. Yeah, whereabouts are you, buddy? Barracuda, even new Mustang bumpers are pretty cheap, aren't they? Yeah, like 120, $130 for a brand new bumper. Um, yeah, everything Mustang is very cheap. Um, M35 Benvids. That tar is a pain. I work on old military stuff, mostly Soviet, and the fuel tanks are always a mess. Huh? Soviet military. Where on earth do you get your hands on Soviet military stuff? Um, Redneck 53, 56, 800 is expensive, but if you can't get a replacement tank, it's worth every penny. This is it. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. If you've got to have it and you just can't get it, then like it becomes worth quite a bit of money in order to get it. So yeah, what's Honda to be? 170 slant six with a 3-speed manual on the floor, 60 Valiant. Huh? They'd probably go quite well. Yeah, with that 4-barrel stuff you're talking about on there, I imagine that goes pretty darn well. Yeah, Granddad's Junk. I'll have to go looking for your channel and see what's going on there. Huh, interesting. Granddad's Junk. Our internet is from Cell Tower Farm Side, it's called. We produce all our own power, septic, sewage, everything is petrol operated and solar. Huh. Good for you, man. Good for you. Huh. What's on it to be? Like Barracuda stated, the Valiants did dominate over the Corvairs and the Falcons. I think it was only run 1 year. Huh. So I had an interesting chat with a guy on Friday who was telling me about this. Kind of relates to the Yellow Falcon, my Yellow Falcon. And he was telling me about, this is an engine builder guy, and he was telling me about a Falcon like mine that the guy put like a cheap eBay turbo on it, and they were getting close to 400 horse out of it. With had a 2-barrel Holly on it, and it sucked through the carburetor, through the turbo and into the engine, and they were making close to 400 horse. Apparently, they got very close to 400 horse, and then it expired. But still, pretty good effort out of a little 200 cubic inch 6-banger. It's like, I wonder. Granddad's Junk, Kai Tai. I was going to say Kai Tai, but that's not Kai Tai. Kayata, Greymouth. Okay. Yeah, that's a little. I think I do remember you telling me Greymouth. Yeah, I'm coming over in December, but I'm not going to be able to get down there. That's too bad. GCRC, thanks, Kiwi. Had a customer stop in yesterday and had me install one for it. I just wasn't sure of the durability of them. Yeah, I've had a golden run with them, and there's some people out there that rag on them and say they're junk, and go back to points and condenser, and it's like, you're always going to get some of them. But Petronics is doing pretty well. They would appear they sell a lot of product. Yeah, it's not bad stuff. Richard Stanberry, how are you, mate? Good to see you. My 66 Barracuda has a registration form printed into the owner's manual for a Gymkhana race. Can you explain what a Gymkhana race was like in the mid-60s? Well, the Gymkhana race was really, I guess, the closest thing you compare it to. I'm not even sure whether they still do them. They probably do somewhere. But it's kind of a little bit like an autocross course, except you'd have little things thrown in, like you had to back into a garage space, back into a garage. It was just 4 cones that were kind of the size of a single garage, and you'd race around the cones, and you'd have to back in and then accelerate out and stuff like that. So there was a little bit of actual reversing in a gymkhana, as opposed to the autocrosses today, which are a little bit more about, well, not a little bit more. All they do is go forwards. So they kind of did away with the reversing stuff. It was always funny because the minis would do very well, if there was any amount of reversing or backing up to do, because they were very short in the wheelbase, so they could turn super tight, and good visibility out of them. They were pretty effective at the gymkhanas, as we called them back then. Not that I was doing them in the mid 60s. I was only like 5. But yeah, in the 70s, later 70s, I did a few gymkhanas, and and sometimes they'd be on tarmac, like the autocrosses are, and sometimes they'd be just in a farmer's field on dirt, which was always a little bit more exciting, a little bit more sideways. Granddad's Junk, West Coast, South Island, up the Omoto Valley. Wow. I bet you that's beautiful, mate. I bet you it's beautiful. Richard Dempsey, I've had Petronics in my 2 cars for 20 years. Well, there you go. There really is nothing to wear out. It's just if you get an electronic failure, which, is not impossible. There has to be a window of life on things electronic, just like, laptop computers or TVs. Like one day you'll go to turn your TV on and it'll just go dead, died. Right? Yeah. All right. M35 Benvids. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, stuff was sold like a fire sale. A bunch ended up here in the States. Wow, I had no idea. That'd be kind of interesting, I would say, because I'm sure there's no shortage of American military stuff around. But it'd be kind of cool to have some of that Soviet stuff. Well, man, it must be what's it like trying to get parts, or you just have to make everything, I guess. Because nothing would be similar, I wouldn't think. John Kelly, hey Kiwi, sorry for using your chat, but love being asked Todd some questions. He seems like a good guy. Hey, that's what the chat's there for. It doesn't all have to be asking me questions. I mean, I'm just chatting with you guys. It's just a bunch of guys shooting the shit, So if you guys talk amongst yourselves, that's fine. It's not, I certainly don't have to be the star of the show. That's not what it's about. It's just a bunch of guys and girls. If the girls are here, then just chatting and sharing ideas and thoughts and about cars. So it's all good. Don't be sorry, mate. The more chatting and stuff going on, the better. It means that the live's doing well. Todd Denio and Granddad's Junk. They're that's awesome. Changing ideas, exchanging ideas about off-grid stuff. That's cool. That's good. I'm very happy with that. That's all good. Bear Rose Garage. Oddly enough, I was in San Diego visiting my daughter the days you were there when you picked up Marge. Oh, really? Wow. If I would have known, I would have grabbed up Ari and popped in to give you a hand with it. Oh, wow. That's a shame. That's a real shame that you were there. Damn. That would have been cool. Small world, huh? As huge as America is, it's still a small place. That was we had some fun. That was a great trip. Steve keeps telling me we should, when we get Marge finished, that we should like drive her back over to San Diego to show the old owner, and then drive it back again. Recover our, retrace our steps back. In a car that's a little more polished and pleasant to drive, And it's like, yeah, that's not a bad idea, but yeah, that's a 4,000-mile round trip. That's a lot, but who knows? Who knows? Long Island Mopars with my low compression 273 V8. I thought about a low pressure turbo adaptation to blow through the car to BBD. Then I woke up. Oh, I just thought you were onto something then. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, 5-6 pounds boost. Yeah, blow it through the Carter. What else have you got to do on a weekend? I mean, really, you got lots of time on your hands, don't you? I'm sure you do. Craig Deering, I had a Valiant 225 push button trans. It was unstoppable, perfect for teenage boys. Yeah, that was a fairly. When I was a teenage boy, that was those Valiants were a pretty popular car. It was quite powerful. In terms of what was available in those days. The Valiants were very popular. The Mark III Zephyrs were very popular because the Valiant had a lot bigger engine, so that was a little more desirable. I think it was a 64 Valiant AP. Gosh, my memory starts to fade a little there. It was an AP4 Valiant, I think. But yeah, it was a nice car too, a white one. Automatic push button. I put a big noisy exhaust on it and thought I was just the shit. I really wasn't, but I thought I was. So, but hey, you can fix an exhaust, right? Chris Freemasser, how you doing, man? Good to have you in here. Glenn Nickerson, good to have you along, but you're the Kiwi. Well, that's true. I am that. Well, I'm not the Kiwi, but I'm a Kiwi. But yeah. That if I ever go back to New Zealand, I'm going to have to kind of lose. I'll lose that nickname because if you yell out "Hey Kiwi" in New Zealand, like everybody turns around. So it's not really a nickname you can have in New Zealand. But yeah, it's a fun nickname to have here, I must say. Barracuda, I've heard there was a Cold War Russian tank with four slant sixes, one each corner. Really? The Russians had Mopar engines in their tanks? That's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that was a possibility even. Huh. Chris Freeman, any decision yet if you're going to paint large Marge? No. I know, cop out, isn't it? Yeah. At this stage, really, the focus is just on getting her a little more polished, getting the floors patched up, getting some interior in it. And the thing is, when I get to the interior stage, I kind of have to make, a decision on if I'm going to paint it at that point, because if I'm going to paint it green, say, there's no point putting a red car's interior in it. So I kind of, I think when I have to start buying seat fabrics and headliners and carpets and stuff like that, at that point, I'm going to need to know, am I painting it or am I leaving it patina or whatever? I don't know. Honestly, part of me is like Marge won't be Marge if she's all shiny and looking like brand new. It would be a little easier decision if she wasn't quite so heavily patinaed. Like she has a lot of surface rust. I don't know what you'd call it, heavy patina. I guess she's very heavily patinaed to the point where there's a lot of areas where there just is no paint. Patina kind of indicates that there is paint. to have faded and worn through, but in a lot of places on Mars, there's a lot of square footage where there's just no paint at all. Like the sun's just burnt it off; it's gone. So that's. I wish it was a little bit better visually, but it is what it is. So I don't know. Now, hang on, let's scroll down here. M35 Benvids. Most parts are available through former Eastern Bloc countries. You would be surprised at how similar many parts are. We do French and British stuff too. Huh. Now, when you say we do French and British stuff too, you restore French and British military stuff? Is this a business, a job, or what are you talking about there, bud? Very keen. I owned a GT40, then I woke up. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? It's a dream you don't want to wake up from. Unfinished project. I know you've already picked your green paint, but you should at least take a peek at Tamco's Sinister Triple Reboot Green. I have it on my W350. Okay. Well, I'm familiar. Well, I've used Tamco before. Sinister Triple Reboot Green. Huh. Okay. I will do that. I'll have a look at that. See what it is. Long Island Mopars. I had a 64 Valiant convertible. Oh, cool. 225 push button. It had sheet metal delete Bondo option from the factory. Long Island's on a roll tonight. He's just full of the humour. Sheet metal delete. That was like me. I had a fiberglass Mustang. It was a very rare model. Like it was kind of like Ford's attempt at a Corvette. But yeah, I think someone told me that. Todd Denier, with help, I did my first rebuild of a V8 when you were 12. Wow, that's awesome. So I've been at it for over 40 years. Mate, that's awesome. That's awesome. When you were 12, yeah, you've had the bug pretty bad for a long time. I remember helping my old man in the garage at 12, messing around with engines and cars, and he always had some little project. But my old man was a bit more of a wheeler dealer, in that he'd buy an old car, fix it up a bit, and flip it, and it was just whatever. It wasn't a cars of choice or cars he was necessarily passionate about. It was just what was a good deal, what he could turn a profit on. But I did get to see a lot of, as a 12, 13-year-old, I got to see a lot of stuff happening on cars that a lot of people don't. People say, "Oh, did he taught you everything you know?" And it's like, well. I mean, with all due respect to the man, he did teach me a few things a few ways of how not to do things, because it wasn't, he wasn't a car restorer. He was kind of a bit of a car flipper, but he did. You can learn. There's lots of different ways to learn, and he taught me a lot. So. Volfly Kiwi, I've half figured out how I could make a long ram manifold for the small block Chevy. I'd get a TPI lower manifold so I could mount long pipes to it, and 2 carb plenum boxes. Might look ugly. Yeah, it might. 2 carb plenum boxes. Wow. That sounds like a challenge, Volfly. That sounds like quite the challenge. But hey, you're thinking, you're doing something, so that's cool. Huh. M35 Benvids at Barracuda. That was the Chrysler multi-bank in the Sherman tank. It's a work of art. Wow. God, how much gas must those things have used? And where did they keep all the fuel? 4 slant sixes working hard. That's a lot of fuel consumption, man. And I mean, you couldn't exactly duck off like mid-battle to top up, just quickly run off and throw a couple of extra 100 gallons in there. Crazy stuff. Yeah, hang on. We ended up. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Oh, here we go. The shit's starting to fly now. Chris Freemasser. And did I miss an announcement about your merch being available? No, you didn't miss it, mate. You didn't miss it. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I get so busy at work and I get so caught up in the moment what I'm doing. And yeah, I just one day. No. Yeah. It's not very good. I know. I get it, but it's. I'd really like to. I'd really like to get somebody into the year, so when I can, or middle of December, so that I can take some back to New Zealand, and try and sell a bit pre-Christmas would be nice, So yeah, I'm going to try and talk Mrs. Kiwi into taking that little job on board, but she works her tail off anyway. She's got a corporate job that she puts in a lot of hours, and it's piling more stuff on hers. Considering the progress I've made on her car, doesn't really seem very fair. Volfly, not terribly serious about the small block chef long ramp. Yeah, that's I think you've been brainstorming in the bathroom a little too much on that one there, mate. Perhaps. Oh, now I've done something to the chat. Oh, good grief. I touched the wrong part of it. Hang on. Bear with me. Hang on. All right, there we go. Back to where I was. Barracuda, not a Russian tank. No, Sherman tank, definitely not a Russian tank. Rex Farris have to hop off for now. It's been nice to be. It's been good to have you in the chat, man. Well, thanks for coming along. Bear Rose, it's hard to find something with such good patina as Marge. Patina cars are tough because it's hard to find something that is 100% natural like that. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Glenn Nickerson, ever suffer from burnout working on cars all day, Kiwi, and then work on one of yours? That, yeah, I do. Like that is a constant battle. Trying to get motivated on a weekend, or like sometimes I think I'll knock off customer cars at 4:30, and then I'll work on mine for 3 or 4 hours, and like you get round to 4:30 and it's like, to kind of start over at 4:30 is it's mentally quite a challenge, and it'd be different if I was 25. That I could do. I could work all day long and then go home and work, till the small hours of the morning on a rally cars, and it was never anything other than fun. But now you get a little bit older and you really do slow down a little bit, and time you've done 8 hours, it's like you're kind of ready for a little break. So yeah, but It is what it is, Like I try and work Saturdays, on my stuff. But honestly, lately it's been so busy that I've been spending Saturdays as like a catch-up day on the things I didn't get to during the week. So not much of my stuff's getting done at all. Uh, but there is a plan. I've been, just booking less and less work because I'm running out of time to get my shit done. And yeah, so you just have to say no to a few more people, and once I get a little more caught up, I'm hoping that next year is going to be a lot more about my stuff and less about the customer stuff. But it's hard. People ring up and they're kind of in a jam. There's something wrong with their car, and they can't find anyone to fix it. Anyone who's even prepared to look at it, and like these people. I'm going to say that they're in trouble. I mean, they're not in deep trouble. It's not terrible, but they're in the same hobby that we're all in, and they can't find anyone to work on their car, and I kind of feel bad. And it's like, oh, bring it in. We'll squeeze it in somewhere. And I just it's kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of scenario, and I need to make it a little bit more 3 steps and 1 back, which I'm working on. Steve Sadusky, go black interior with large margins. You can paint any colour. Yeah, I thought about a grey, a two-tonish grey, like a light mid-grey, dark grey colouring, something like that. But it'd be kind of nice to have a colour highlight in there as well. Depending whether she stays red or it stays just the patina. So yeah, these are the things I think about when I wake up at 3 a.m. and can't get back to sleep. I'm sure a lot of you know what that feels like. Benvids, no, it was an American tank. The British and Soviet used them the most, I think. There are some good videos posted of them. Look up Multibank. There's so much stuff out there, isn't there? That if you don't know where to go looking on, like YouTube, there's so much stuff out there that you're just missing out on, and you have no idea. Mark Taylor, Sunbeam Tiber. Fun fact: the final production year of a 67 had a Ford 289. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I think at that 67, I think they'd stopped making the 260. I think you couldn't have had a 260 if you wanted it. So yeah, the obvious go-to then was the 289. Granddad's junk. The streams you did when picking up Marge was very good and fun to watch. Great trip. Yeah, it really was. I'm kind of tempted to go with Steve's idea and just recreate that trip. I've thought about trying to find another project car like that. Which, if one comes my way, that might work. But that was just such a random kind of happening for me to be in the San Diego area and looking at projects on Facebook Marketplace, and then coming up with that car at that that the guy decided to put it up for sale at the same time I was there looking, and a lot of stars aligned for that to kind of come together. So yeah, but you never know. I'm always looking around whenever we travel, within the States, which is not that often, but it's a few times a year. I'm always, if there's a spare 10 minutes, I'll be surfing around Facebook Marketplace, just seeing what's available out there. What's going on, and that's always a bit of fun. It's interesting. Richard Stanbury, I named my Barracuda Babe back in the 80s, but she goes through money so fast these days for parts. I'm thinking about renaming her Mole Flanders. Oh, Lord. Wolfly, I imagine one can buy Russian tank parks from the Ukraine. Well, yes, yes. Yeah, they may be a little bit fire damaged, but yeah, I'm sure you can get them. Todd Denier, Volfly. I want to build myself a Chrysler 300F style long ram for my 318 Poly and give it a good cam. Now you're talking my language. Wow, that sounds interesting. So, Todd, what have you got? What have you got your 318 Poly in, or did we already talk about that? Volfly slightly used, yeah. Scratch and dent sale. Oh, you guys, geez. John Kelly, remarge for sure. Trim, paint, clean her up. She deserves it. Doesn't have to be perfect because you want to drive the big baby. Yeah, that's true. You know, you make it too pretty and then you don't want to drive it. You don't want to mess it up. Yeah, I'm just gonna let Marge evolve. You know, I'll work through the bucket list of stuff, things that I got to do to her, and see where it takes me. You know, see where it takes me. Certainly get a lot of positive feedback about the patina on her. So yeah, it's all good. 35 Benvids. My military stuff is weekend work. I and some friends go and work on privately owned museum stuff. Weekdays, I'm a dumb mechanic at a shop and we repair old cars often. Well, you're not a dumb mechanic then, are you? You can work on tanks, you can work on old cars. Yeah, dumb mechanic is not the correct name at all. Josh Homan. Lots of cars back then had the exact same sheet metal delete option. Yes. Volfly. Oh, I wonder if eBay would let me sell tank parts. Well, yeah, not sure. Todd Deny, I'm going to build the entire intake manifold. Mate, you need to stay in touch with me on that. I'd be very interested in what you're doing on that. Something like that would look very cool under the hood of Marge. Very cool. Long Island Mopars. On a serious note. Ooh, serious note. I did a timing chain replacement on a 72 Satellite with a 318. All the nylon teeth stripped off the factory gear. Why did they make timing gears like that? They were quiet. The plastic coating was supposed to keep the noise down. It's my understanding. It was all about keeping them quiet. Yeah, but it was a good idea that an old guy said to me, great idea, but it just wasn't worth a shit. While they stayed together, it worked great, but they fail, you know. And one thing about a steel gear is, I mean, the teeth will wear, but they don't just all come apart, and then you have massive amounts of slack when the nylon coating comes off. So a good idea that just didn't work out. A good theory, but a good theory that didn't transfer into a good idea. Chris Freemason, noise reduction. Yeah, exactly. Chris Freemason, didn't the Sherman use a Continental radial engine? Wow. You guys are talking about stuff that I have absolutely no idea about. I mean, I know what a radial engine is, but was it in a Sherman tank? Yeah, I have no idea. Bear Rose Garage, that's good life experience, Kiwi. I grew up in an independent auto repair shop where we fixed everything that came through the door. Learn the good and bad, ugly of all of them doing that. Well, this is it. There's the experience is all important. You know, it's the kind of your most valuable asset, really, is that experience. And you never stop learning either. Like if that's I'm learning stuff all the time. Because cars come through the door that I've never worked on before, and you have to figure it out for yourself. You have to phone a friend, that kind of thing. And that's one of the beauties with YouTube. You do get to know a lot of people, and I've been fortunate enough with a little bit of TV stuff and SEMA stuff that I've done. I've got that's helped me have quite a network of people that I can kind of turn to when I need to, and get some answers, because none of us have all the answers. That's one of the few things you can be sure of. Long Island moped. I've heard that, and to this day, timing chains are not noisy enough for me to want to buy plastic ones. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. That's just always the story I've been told is why they did it. And it is really the only thing that makes sense for that concept. I mean, I know some of the old English Fords, they didn't. Some of the old English V6s, they had a 3-litre V6, and that had fibre gears. They were like a fibre composite gear, but they didn't have a chain. They were just a big gear, little gear. So it was a direct drive sort of gear setup. And they were made of a fibre, so that you didn't get that whine that you get with steel gears. Steel gears with no timing chain, they can be pretty noisy. But regular steel timing chain, no, I've never had an engine that's that quiet. I mean, I've heard timing chains slapping before, when they're really worn and stretched. But a timing chain that's not absolutely shot is pretty quiet. I don't know. That's the only answer I've got for you, bud. Now. Hang on, it shot up there again. John Kelly, when you were 25, you could do all night what now takes all night to do. Yeah, gosh, are we still talking about mechanics, but Saab, German Ford V4s had fibre timing gears. Yeah, fibre gears last longer than you think. They just need to be thick. Yep. Andy Nickel, I get so burned out doing the same repairs over and over. I don't have the energy left to build any guitars, specifically when no one wants to pay what I need to get. Yeah, well, that's there. Why I don't paint cars anymore, mate. Like once Barry left, that's like I'm out. We're not painting cars anymore. So much work, and just so many hours, and it's not really putting the paint on. It's quite fun, but it's all the prep before putting paint on. There's just kind of mind numbing, and it's like I don't want to paint anymore, so we don't. Todd Denio, the Chrysler 300F style long rams place the carbs over the exhaust manifolds to heat the carb plenum. Okay. I didn't realise that was done that way for the heat. Interesting. Right. Well, I'm going to Todd Denio. It's interesting. If a person has fabrication skills in either a mill and a MIG TIG welder or a machine shop that's affordable, they are not that difficult to make. Well, I think you need to make 2 sets, Todd. Would be my take on that. Definitely need to make 2 sets. It's only going to take you, 10% longer to make 2 than it is to make 1. At least that's my theory. And I can take that second one off your hands. How's that? Sound like a plan? Andy Nickel. Once in a while, I get a restoration on a vintage guitar. It must be kind of cool doing the vintage guitars, I would think. Bringing something like that back. I guess it's, there's definite parallels with the car there. Some of the history of who played the guitar and that kind of thing. Must be kind of cool. Have you ever done any like for big names? The big star. This guitar used to belong to I don't know, one of the big names. Vilefly, just starting to learn to TIG. TIG welding's a trip, man. That's not easy to do, and not easy to do well. And like one of the key things to learning to TIG is that you have to burn a lot of metal. It is a practice thing. Once you get the basic concept down, then to get good, it's just time. Just weld, and the more you do, the slowly, the better you'll get. Josh Homan, a mill has got to be expensive. Well, a good mill's very expensive, yeah. Vilefly have a mini mill. Okay. Glenn Nickerson, if I were going to talk tanks, the greatest tank commander of all time, oddball, kick it off with the negative energy Moritori. You lost me there, Glenn. Completely lost me, I'm afraid. Bear Rose Garage had a 63 Dodge 440 with a 318 poly in it. The poly will surprise most people with the hand of God talk it puts out. Very odd for such small cubes. Yeah, well, that was the cylinder heads, I believe. No, they're quite a long stroke motor too. No, they're not a long stroke motor. No, they're quite a short stroke motor. Yeah. Barracuda, Kiwi, did you hear about one of their Navy ships, one of the New Zealand Navy ships sunk on a reef in Samoa? I did hear about that, mate. That was on the news here. Yeah, that was that was a bit of a whoops. It got running. One of the commander, somebody ran it aground, didn't they? Yes, that'd be a little embarrassing, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's going to be hard to get a promotion after you've run a ship onto the ground. Now, Redneck 5356. My wife hates me looking at Marketplace. Yeah, well, I don't think mine's over fond of me looking at Marketplace either, but then I'm not that fond of it looking at Amazon either. So I think it kind of balances. Todd Denio, Vilefly. I couldn't afford to buy a set of factory long rams, so I fabricated a set from 1/2-inch aluminum plate, aluminium tubes, and 1/8 aluminium plate for the card plenum. Wow. And the one I made years ago was for a Chrysler 440. Wow, you're obviously quite a talented fabricator, Todd. That's cool. Long Island Mopars, if I'm right, the largest poly engine was the 350 Golden Commando and a 58 Fury. Yeah, I think you're right there, bud. Granddad's junk. Got a 318 poly. My 58 Savoy. Spare 313 block. Exhaust manifolds are hard to find. I do have a spare set. Interesting. Oh, you guys are getting serious. Volfly. 50cc accelerator pumps to accommodate the plenum volume. Yeah, well, your airspeed is going to be interesting in something with that sheer amount of volume. Yeah, keeping the airspeed up will be interesting. Andy Nickel. Not too many celebs up here in Alberta. Yeah, well, I did do a top replacement for a concert classic guitarist. The conductor said it was the nicest sounding guitar he'd hear. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Todd, Kiwi, that is a possibility. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Keep me in mind, bud. I'd be all about it. Yeah. Chris Freemason, Scott from Coldwell Motor plays the guitar. Yeah, I've seen a few him jam in with a few of his buddies on a few of his videos. Looks like they have a good time. Looks like they have a good time. Man, we're getting low on time, guys. It's been nearly 2 hours. We're at 1. We've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and then I'm out of here and going to get some ice for this thing. It's getting a bit warm. But I'll soldier on, I'll push through. It's okay. Mark Taylor, what about vinyl wrapping cars? I've heard the technology looks as good as paint for half the cost. Thoughts? Yeah, well, it's not as durable as paint typically. With the wraps, but it's pretty good. I mean, the technology's come a long way. It's back when they first started doing that, they were really just using sign writing vinyl to wrap a car with. Now the stuff is made, it's much more elastic. They're now making the material they wrap cars with now is purely for wrapping with. And it works pretty darn well. And the stuff they've got to cut it. Have you seen that long, the thin string they kind of lay down underneath the wrap, and then you pull it up through the wrap and it cuts it. That way you get perfect kind of butt joints if you're changing color of the wrap, that kind of thing. They've come up with some really cool ideas on that wrapping, and it is really not bad, especially if you're doing matte. Like if you want a matte finish. Matte paint is terribly hard to work with. I would not have a painted matte car. I would just no thanks. My wife's quite keen on the matte finish, and it's like sorry, not happening. We might on this little sports car of hers. There might be a few little bits of matte highlights. So it's predominant like 96% gloss green, this British Racing green, and with a few, like maybe the Kiwi Silver Fern done in a matte, as a contrast, something like that, but matte paint's okay for that, but you can't buff it, you can't polish it, you can't match it, you can't blend it. It's compared to the wrapping, where if you hurt a panel, you just peel that panel off, the wrap off it, and put some more on, and it'll be fine. So if you want matte, the wrapping's the way to go. And price wise, it probably is half the price now. I know it's $5-6 grand for a wrap, for a full wrap now on a car, but then it's 15 grand's not a lot to spend on a repaint these days. It's really not. So I know that upsets a few people, but it is what it is. Paint's expensive. Time is expensive. Parts are cheap. Time is expensive. That's why I always push this. Getting your car checked out by someone who knows what they're looking at. Before so you don't buy a rust bucket, because if you buy a rust bucket, you're buying a big repair bill. If you buy a car with a blown transmission, a few $1,000s, you got another transmission, you're on the road. It's not a big deal. But if you've got a lot of rot in your car, 10-15 grand doesn't actually go far if you're going to fix it properly. Now what else we got? John Kelly, hey Todd, did Dodge reckons long rims are a dime a dozen? Okay. That's not been my experience, but to be fair, I don't have a lot of experience with long rims, but I thought they were pretty rare. Firefly, so let's see, long ram and a rear guitar holder for Marge. There you go. I would like to put a roof rack on it though, and maybe not that I've ever. Well, I did try surfing once. Not that I'm a surfer, but it would be kind of cool to have a rack and an old surfboard on it. One of those big Hawaiian style longboards would be kind of pretty cool. Andy Nickel, did you miss the model of the week? Well, I don't know. Maybe someone mentioned it earlier, so we'll give you another little flash at it. A Porsche, full-on race car. I'll be honest with you, I just thought it looked cool. I like the graphics on it. It's just, to me, it's just a cool looking car. And yeah, it's fairly old. That's probably a 20-year-old car. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, this was the cool. I like the little roof mounted air intake. It's kind of pretty cool. So that's the model of the week. Yeah. All right. What else? Todd Denio, Kiwi, the 318 poly is the same stroke as the 318 LA engine. Dimensionally, even the block is the same. The extra width of the poly is all on the heads. Yeah, well, the stroker crank is an LA crank that you can put into the poly. The engines are so similar. Barracuda matte paint isn't as aerodynamic. I actually never thought of that, but yeah, you're probably right. Firefly, we can also put a 1/4-inch guitar jack on the side of large Marge amplifier inside. Now there's an idea, isn't it? Yeah, that's cool. Don't care too. I have a flat black paint job. It's the worst paint to take care of. Yeah, you can't sand it, polish it, barely wash it without scratching it. It sucks. Yes, correct. You are correct. Don't care. Yeah, don't take it through a car wash. Like, no, it's very trendy, and it does kind of look cool. I'll give you that, but not. Yeah, get it in a wrap. Craig Nearing, well, good chat, Kiwi, thanks. Yeah, it is that time. It's 9:02, so we've gone slightly over. I'm rambling. All right, guys. Josh Homan, well, cool. Glad you guys like the model car. I'll keep them coming. I'll get through my collection eventually. I got a lot more cars than my wife believes I need, or model cars. But that's okay. She's got a lot more pairs of shoes than I think she needs. So, we're even in my book anyway. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for all your input, your comments. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, as usual. And so next Tuesday, same place, same time. And I'm trying to get Kevin Tates in for 2 weeks from tonight. So kind of mark that in your calendar, and I'll confirm that next week. But yeah, hopefully he'll be here in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, you guys have a great week, and get out there and work on your cars, drive your cars, have some fun. All right, guys, take it easy. See you next one.